Right, folks, I'm joined on the line now by a gentleman who is behind the Ring of Fire project, and I'd like to welcome to Firebrand Rock Radio, Mr. Mark Boals. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time to have a chat today. Well, where can we start? Apart from, I suppose the first question would be, what took you so long to do another Ring of Fire album?
Everybody asks that
I know,
question.
you're probably bored to death with that question.
I still don't have a good answer for that other than, just, stupidity, I guess, and laziness. Not really. Everybody got busy, and we just kind of set it aside for a while. And, it really, after this many years, we were so glad to work together again. Maybe it was a good thing. We really enjoyed making this album, I think, more than any of the other ones. And I think it sounds great. So I don't really have an answer to that question. So
That's right. Well, I mean, it just sounds like you guys were recording sort of, straight after the last album. You just sound so great together.
Thank you so much. Yeah, well, we feel that way too. So it comes across. I think the sound of the album is really incredible and the best one we've done so far.
So what got you interested in the whole story of Leningrad? I mean, for those of you out there who, unlike myself, who's a history bore, not familiar with it, it was, shall we say, a horrendous siege in the Second World War where the Germans had the city of Leningrad under siege and the Russians basically were starving to death.
Right, and not only that, it was the length of time that they were under siege was 900 days, so almost 3 years. So it's incredible that anybody survived. Lack of food, lack of heat, and constant bombardment, fire bombs, just unbelievable.
So what got you interested in doing a project based on that story?
Well, I got really interested in it because I am kind of a history buff or bore too, and this one slipped by my radar. I didn't know this story, and Vitaly brought it to my attention.
Okay.
When we talked about doing the album, and he said this would be a great story to base the concept album for, or make a concept album about. And once I started reading about it, I read a little bit online, but I really like to read actual books, and I found tons of books about it at the library. And there's so many different kinds. I read some diaries and some, a lot of just the basic history books, and there was so much rich material there to draw from, and so it made for a very intense album.
Well, it is. I mean, some people maybe think, oh no, it's a concert album, get turned off. But far from. I mean, I think it is one of these concert albums which is, I would say, open to everybody. You don't have to necessarily listen to tracks in sort of order, if that makes any sense.
No, it absolutely does. That was our intent, to make the songs be able to stand on their own as well. So, because people have short attention spans, shorter all the time.
Yeah, I would go along with that. I mean, I would say I'm unfortunately probably guilty as charged on that front, because like most presenters, you get sent an album and quite often you do the old 15-second rule and sort of dip in. But, I mean, I've had this album now for, a couple of weeks, and I must say, I've probably played it about 7 or 8 times so far.
Oh, great. Great, that's a good sign.
It is a good sign. But I guess partly going right the way back, I mean, I first became aware of your good self, obviously, with the Yngwie's Trilogy album, which I absolutely adore.
That was the first album I ever did in my life, so that was my starting point in the business. Thank you very much. Yeah, that was an incredible time. That was the heyday of hair rock and guitar rock.
I mean, I still put that down as one of his best albums, personally.
I think the same. I really think it was really a good time for him. It was actually his peak, I think. I mean, only because he didn't ever want to go beyond that. I think that's he made that his peak, and he just kept going, repeating himself a lot of times after that. Unfortunately, the guy is so incredibly talented.
I mean, going down your list of discography, I mean, you do tend to pick some, shall we say, rather impressive guitarists to work with. I mean, examples would be Uli John Roth, who I had the enormous pleasure of finally getting to see a full set of end of last year. I'd seen sort of quarter of sets earlier in the year, but managed to see a decent set in a very small club, and the guy is just unbelievable.
Oh yeah, he is. He's better than ever. He's a genius, and you know, speaking of Yngwie, he's one of Yngwie's main influences, even more than Ritchie Blackmore, which everybody thinks is his main influence.
So, what got you involved with Uli? Did he approach you, or did you approach him, or was it just like a mutual sort of...
We got introduced in 2007, I believe, by a mutual friend, and I did one of his Sky Academies. I sang some songs with him, and he said, "Hey, you sound like the real deal. Let's do an album." So I spent some time over in Germany with him. He was living there at the time in a big chateau. And man, he's a great guy as well as a virtuoso musician, and he's got so much stuff in the can that he's recorded already. That's never. No, I don't know if anybody's going to hear it. I sure hope so. He's written symphonies and recorded them, and
it's unbelievable, the catalog. And he's such an approachable guy as well. He's just so unassuming, with no ego to him at all.
Absolutely not. No, he's a great with everybody, and he's great with kids. He loves to share his knowledge and his expertise. I think he enjoys that more than even playing. He loves to promote new players, you know.
Yeah, there was a young guy playing with him when I saw him last month, and I can't for the hell of it remember what his name was.
He was really good too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I could see the crowd were looking at this young lad and thinking, And then Uli gave him like a solo spot, and my God, he was so good.
Yeah. Yeah, he's one of Uli's students. And, you know, Uli gives these Sky Academies when he goes around. He's going to do that actually not this weekend, but the following weekend here in Anaheim for the NAMM convention. We're doing some shows. I'm going to be singing with him and doing a bunch of different things. James Kotak from Scorpions is going to be playing drums on that. So
fantastic.
That'll be quite good.
Another guitarist I'm going to bring up is one which probably a lot of people are not overly familiar with, and that is Cooney.
Oh, Cooney!
Yeah, I mean, I've got. I must admit, I've got all his albums. Got one of his on a Japanese vinyl import many years ago, just on a whim, and been a bit of a fan ever since.
Oh yeah, you know, he actually became a record company executive for JVC.
Did he really?
Yeah, he probably would have put out a lot more music, but he was busy working at the record company. Yeah, he was an A&R guy for JVC in Tokyo.
That I didn't know. So basically, he's put the suit on and more or less sort of retired from playing, I guess. That's a shame.
Semi, I guess. I guess he I don't know. A lot of people, you know, can't take the ups and downs of just playing music. It's quite a roller coaster ride.
Yeah. This is why I stay this side of the business.
Right.
Going back to the Ring of Fire album, if we may, what has been your overall impression of how it's been received so far by other presenters and the press, etc.?
I've gotten really good response across the board so far. I've just been doing lots of interviews this week, just starting this week, and everybody's got good things to say about it. So I'm really happy about that. I'm proud of the album too.
I think so. You should be. I mean, as listeners to the show know only too well, because I constantly bore them with it. I don't have people on the show unless I like the music. It's as pure and simple as that.
That's a good thing to stick by, I think.
Going forward from this, obviously, now that you're sort of back in the saddle with the Ring of Fire albums, are you considering working on another one to follow up, or are you going to leave it another 9 years? Oh
no, definitely not. That would be a crime.
I think
can't do that. So no, we're planning on doing some live shows first, though. We'd really like to take this album and play it live and do some multimedia presentation with it. I think it would be a great sort of vehicle for that sort of a show.
Would that be with all the guys you're on the album? Would they be available, or would you have to have a touring band for that?
Well, it would be me, Vitaly, and Tony for sure, and we'll probably have the regular guys back on bass and drums that we've had before. They weren't available for this album, unfortunately. That's why Timo Tolkki and Jamie guested on the bass and drums.
Right.
And Timo's not even normally a bass player. He's actually a really good guitarist. So, but he mixed the album, and he was involved, and we couldn't arrange for our regular people, so he suggested that he just take care of it, and he did a great job.
Well,
so we appreciate that a lot.
Sorry, Mark. He did a really, really good job, I feel, of mixing the album. I mean, I really am a fussy bugger when it comes to production on albums, because some people ruin what is superb material by really sloppy production work. But
absolutely.
But this, I think, really stands out. I think he has done a really worthwhile job on it.
Thanks. Yeah, we're real thankful to him for that. I've had many albums ruined by the final mix, and especially albums with other people that I have no control over. Like the worst example, shining example, is the last album I did with Yngwie, which was War Tendal Wars. It was the worst mix of any album I've ever heard.
Yeah. I'm glad you said it first.
Well, I had nothing to do with it. That wasn't my fault,
No. Yeah, unfortunately, I do remember the, well, not just the press, but certainly comments from fans when that came out, and it was, it was probably made very uncomfortable reading for him.
Well, somehow that stuff just flies by him. It doesn't faze him one bit.
But that's a real shame.
Yeah.
That is a real shame. I mean, it's surely as a musician you want to put out the best possible product that you can.
Well, yeah, but some people like to have. I mean, he's a control freak, so some people want to do it all themselves. And I've never gone down that road because first of all, it's too hard, it's too much work, and second of all, you lose all the chemistry of working with all the different people that are great at their jobs,
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is a dangerous road to go down because, let's face it, I mean, probably, when you're professionals, when you admit to what you can't do and let somebody else take over that. Yeah,
I did mix one Ring of Fire album, and I'll never do it again.
You learned your lesson.
Well, first of all, it's just too much work, and I'm not I don't like being in the studio. I'm not
You prefer
somebody
to play,
who likes
you
to
prefer
spend
to be
hours
playing
and
live,
hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to see the sunlight, ride my Harley, go to the beach, surf, do all kinds of things outside.
Oh, sounds terrible. What I will ask you, now another album that you were on last year, an album I absolutely adore, which was, of course, was Magnus Carlsen's Freefall. Are you looking at working on other projects for other musicians?
Well, probably, yeah. I mean, Magnus is a friend of mine. We did an album called The Codex a few years back.
Oh, of course you did.
And I would love to do some more stuff with him. This year, I'm doing a solo album. I've been writing songs for that right now, so that's coming up, and there'll be some nice guests on that album. But that's for end of the year, maybe early next year. I don't know when it's going to come out, but
superb.
But that's next for me. That's next on my plate.
Excellent. Well, Mark, I've taken up more than enough of your time. I really appreciate you coming on the show. It's been great chatting to you. What I can say is that I hope that you have a lot of success with this album, because personally I think it strongly deserves it. Guys out there, do go out and get yourself a copy of it. My recommendation, if not anyone else's, because you know that I'm not going to bullshit on what I think is a good or a bad record.
Oh, thank you so much, bro. And thanks for all the support, and great talking to you.
Cheers, Mark. You take care now.
Cheers. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.